Hey Matt, how are you?
Nicholas, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, happy Friday.
I've got a great stat for you to start off our show.
Oh, tell me.
69, I'm a big stat guy. 69% of mobile viewers pay full attention when they're on a mobile app. 69%. 50% of TV viewers these days pay full attention.
Yeah.
So my ask to you is, how do you relax at night on the couch? Are you watching TV? Do you have your phone in front on your lap, or don't you don't you have any downtime at all with the kids and everything?
Yeah, so at 8 p.m. is the time where everyone is hopefully to bed or whatever. And then I will go to Netflix, press play, but I will have my laptop on me and then working on some other thing. So I definitely don't pay attention much to the movie. Uh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
playing on TV.
I watch a lot of sports and like news and live live programming a lot. And even with that, I was watching last night's Philadelphia Eagles Washington Commanders game, and I found myself with my tablet on my lap. So I'm watching the game, but I'm still like scrolling. So that stat is completely accurate.
Yeah.
We're multitaskers these days.
Yeah, I mean the phone. You have the phone is in front of you. You can really. It's hard to not dedicate attention to the phone. So anyway,
I know. I
all
know.
right. Well, let's get started.
All right.
All right, everybody. This is Nico with eStreamly, the company that gets you live stream and video commerce on your website, social media, email, SMS, wherever your video is. The content is available. So excited to be here. I am here with my great friend Matt from E6 Marketing, the company gets you on QVC and HSN. We have a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, it's been an interesting week again. Things we're going to be talking is the new LTK integration with TikTok Shop, which with TikTok, not TikTok Shop, TikTok, which is kind of interesting. We're going to talk about Bridal, and some of the dynamics going on in that space, which is kind of cool. BlueSkies and some other social media news, and then we'll end up by looking at social commerce in terms of number of users and dollars spent, which I think is kind of interesting. But before we go there, Matt, why don't you kind of reset the room and tell us why we're here?
Yeah, thank you, Nico. So thank you very much for tuning in. This is called the VCommerce Podcast. Nico and I work in this space, video commerce, the space that started with direct response television, DRTV, graduated to QVC and HSN, and now you could shop anywhere on your mobile app, on your phone, on your computers and tablets. So we talk about usually the top 4 topics of the week. Hopefully you learn something by listening and watching us, or you're entertained in some sort of way, or maybe a combination of both. So as Nicholas said, there was a lot going on this week. So many different stories in the e-commerce and video commerce space. And Nicholas, I know you wanted to start with a very interesting one that has to do with TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one I wanted to bring on is typically around TikTok and LTK. And so basically, LTK has introduced this technology. So for the one that don't know, LTK is like you can be a creator, you sign up on LTK, and then you have a full library of product that you can use and leverage to actually do social selling. And when you do that, you get commission of it. LTK is really this platform that is here to empower the creator, but really trying to find new deals. And so when you're an LTK creator, and you can really access some really interesting thing. Couple months ago, we were talking about LTK because they have introduced a shortable video as part of their strategy. So LTK used to be this platform where you could, it was very strong on Instagram. And so on Instagram, you could actually see a post and then you have like the pin, and on the pin, when you click on it, it was redirecting you to the product of that brand. What they did with Instagram, which is kind of, with TikTok, which is kind of very interesting. LTK, obviously, they have their own payment infrastructure, their own, they are really a place to do the affiliate marketing. We know that TikTok has been really big at their TikTok shop with their payment on TikTok and everything, staying the experience there. But with LTK, this integration is very unique in the sense that the user is actually taking out of the platform. And the way to say that is like, as a LTK users, or if you see a product on TK, the product will be pinned in the comment. And so when you click on that, it's a URL. So you will click there. You will most likely leave the platform to actually go to see the product and everything, very much like what you would do on Instagram or something. But I found it kind of interesting because it's kind of like a little bit different from what TikTok has been really pushing, which is their in-video checkout. Obviously, I'm assuming they are getting a commission for this whole thing. But it's just an interesting dynamic where we are, again, seeing that TikTok is really to bond their own boundaries and their own rules to figure it out, like with those business models that are working, like how do we bring them in? I found it quite interesting, to be frank.
I agree. And you'll know better than I, but is LTK the biggest influencer creator platform to get on TikTok Shop? I know if they're not the biggest, they're one of the biggest. So this is another avenue for aspiring creators and influencers to get on the TikTok Shop and build a successful business model. So yeah, it's very cool. It's very smart of TikTok to get into this space with LTK and LTK to partner officially with TikTok Shop. I see it completely growing and growing. And we debate all this all the time, you and I. Like, I was reading something this week about the levels of influencers and like what kind of level of influencer do you want as a company? Do you want $1 million or million person following as an influencer to talk about your brand, or do you want a 5,000 or 10,000 person follower or influencer to follow your brand and talk about your product, which is more authentic, which has the biggest bang for your buck? I assume all the LTK influencers are building onto that larger and larger following. So I don't think there's even a debate that the more followers you have, the more opportunity there is.
And I will tell you, like, I have seen some of those LTK influencers. They know how to sell. They're really good at it. The people that follow them they follow them specifically for a certain brand or a certain category of product that they're there, and so they're really appealing to that social shopper. So really interesting dynamic, and they know how to make it work. So it's really cool.
I will tell you something related. I work with one company. One of the companies I work with, they had a product posted on TikTok Shop yesterday, and it wasn't meant to be on TikTok Shop, and it wasn't meant to be at the price it was priced at on TikTok Shop. So they immediately took it down. They didn't they weren't given permission to have this influencer post on TikTok Shop. They've remedied it within hours. The result, 20,000 units sold in seemingly just a couple of hours.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
20,000 units sold
in a number of hours.
Oh, wow.
It was a mistake. So the price was much lower than the retailer wanted it. So they pulled it down. But they moved 20,000 units, and we didn't officially know. Like, we all kind of woke up and saw it. So we don't know how long it was there, but it wasn't there the day before. And it was there on Thursday morning. And they moved a ton of product.
Well, if that's another example, TikTok is working. I mean, like, if you have any doubt.
I know.
Well, it was probably a well-known brand. It's not probably the brand of, like, no one knows about. People were knowing. They probably saw the price, which was lower than expected. It was a deal that no one could miss out.
It was an amazing deal that the vendor will never have that deal again, ever. But it was a mistake. But the inventory they moved is just insane through TikTok Shop. A story that hit my newsfeed, which is kind of ironic because my oldest child, my daughter, is getting married early summer of 2025. David's Bridal. David's Bridal is a bridal shop that young women shop at, for their wedding dress. They've got an influencer loyalty program that they launched last year. It's called the Diamond Loyalty Rewards Program, 3 million members. And the biggest reward program they have associated with it is they give away a free honeymoon. Since 2020, they've given over 1,000 honeymoons away to couples, right? So they've got this Diamond Loyalties Reward Program responsible for 3/4 of David's Bridal sales. And their stats are amazing. How could David's Bridal get involved and make money through an influencer or a reward program? They broke it down. Weddings have average of 200 people per wedding. 100 of them are women. 2/3 of women they have a stat that says they will buy a new dress for the occasion. So that's 66 potential purchases from every single wedding that David's Bridal works through. So the bride earns points on each purchase of a dress. So that all you got to do is include the bride's phone number on a little index card that you insert into the invitation that you send to all the people that are invited to the wedding. Customers just share the bride's number, phone number, and then they make their purchase. So the only caveat, I think, is why doesn't every bridal shop and bride get involved with this kind of program? Is no woman wants to see the same dress at the wedding that she's wearing. It's a brand new dress. Oh my God, 5 other women are wearing the same dress I'm wearing in the same color. I could see that being a challenge, but I couldn't believe David's Bridal is a very large bridal shop across the country, and 3/4 of their sales come from this one influencer program.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Like it's amazing, but it does show that, you know, social commerce or social sale is not all about like, you know, creating like being big on TikTok or being big on Instagram. It's also like, what do you do with your social network, with your community? How do you activate those local community and take advantage of that? And I think that's a really great example of, they have identified that there is a need for around that thing. And so how do we make that social sharing, that social collaboration in between shoppers to actually get to a goal, which is the goal of the brand. Fascinating space.
I know. Of course, I immediately sent the article to my daughter, and I'm like, you should look into this. Now, she actually picked out her wedding dress. I haven't seen it. I'm pretty positive she didn't go to David's Bridal. Just I think she was recommended to go somewhere else. But I told her in an email, you should go back to your bridal shop and see if they would put this rewards program together for you. I think it's pretty fascinating.
It's really cool.
So I know we're still in the heat of the aftermath of the presidential election that happened last week, and we talked about it a little bit last week. We talked about how we didn't think TikTok Shop would go anywhere, especially now that with Trump in the office, even though he's flip-flopped over the topic a number of times. I saw a cool stat, an interesting stat, and maybe we talk about TikTok on this platform too much on this pod, but I can't. This is pretty amazing. On October 27th, Trump was they videotaped Trump at a McDonald's preparing food, general kind of prepping the food, but they put it on TikTok on a number of different videos. His one video, the one video that they produced for TikTok specifically, garnered 63 million views with 7.3 million likes. Kamala Harris also put on TikTok videos, 5 times more viewers combined in all of her videos on TikTok Shop than this one Trump video. So Trump is the old man, right? Trump is the kind of the old school kind of president and no nonsense kind of a guy. Kamala Harris is more of the young and relatable to a younger generation, and he crushed it through TikTok. So we talk about TikTok Shop specifically, not really about TikTok as an overall platform, but if the political world is going to get involved in this platform, already every other seemingly entertainment dynamic or just dynamic is through TikTok. How possibly can anyone think that this is going away?
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, there was an argument being made recently that for the one that are listening to us and maybe like avid of podcast, there a podcast that I personally follow quite well is called Acquired FM, and on Acquired they were talking that and making the argument that TikTok is really not a social media platform. It's a media company that end up it's an AI company that end up doing media as the way to leverage their AI. And it's really not social per se, right? The social is just an aspect of their product. But when you think of it from that perspective, you could see really where that's going, right? It's really interesting. I mean, it's just an interesting dynamic and everything that's happening over there. But yeah, just fascinating. And that's why I think also the reason I'm saying that is really like, because you don't really get those kind of views and push that you will get with some of those other social platforms where the point of entry is really the social network. Whereas on TikTok, the point of entry is the media itself and your likelihood of liking this kind of media, regardless of who you are and if you are connected to that person or not. And so that's why they stripped out the idea of like being a social platform. So anyway,
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Fascinating.
Our last story, you wanted to talk about social commerce, and that
social commerce.
You were sharing earlier that they're amazing.
Yeah, so this is a stat that I got from eMarketer, and basically it's what is social commerce in terms of numbers. And so if you look at it from a US perspective, right, so globally the social commerce is about a $500 billion market already. It's scheduled to be, or estimated to be, $1 trillion market by the end of 2028. So if you think of it, 2028 is in 4 years from now, it's like doubling already. But if you look at it from just like the number of users that are actually doing it, it's not a huge number. And that really shocked me. And so if you look at it from, if you look at just for the US alone, so in the US, the social commerce sales are estimated to be about right now, like, 100 and something million in revenue, 140, 120 million, 20 billion, sorry, in revenue. But the share of users that are actually doing this, it's only it's only 100 million of users, right? So a third of America is actually a social commerce user. So it does mean that, and that there's a lot of room to grow. Right now, the average is about $600 per shopper. So the shopper is coming back and is shopping. Like if you think that the average, I think we're talking about this, that the typical average order value for TikTok Shop is really on the low digit numbers. So that's a lot of number of purchase that needs to be made to get to that 600 and something dollar per shopper. So I think it's kind of fascinating to think of it that way. And so the US market is about maybe like 15% of the total social commerce dynamic globally. And we know it's 100 million users. So if you think of it from the biggest scheme of things, there's still a lot of potential. There's a lot of non-social commerce buyers out there. And I do see that this is really going on and getting an explosive growth. The other thing that is kind of interesting, we're kind of achieving some sort of a plateau, right, in a way, on terms of social buyer growth for the US market. So right now, they estimate it's 106, and they estimate that by 2027 it will be 118. But the sales, the average order value by those users is gonna almost double within that same period. So if you also so the user, once you acquire them, you are going to grow with them for the years to come. So really interesting dynamics going on in that space. I just found it quite fascinating.
Well, we talk a lot about not only TikTok Shop, but Temu and Shein. And Temu and Shein are low price point products that U.S. Consumers are buying at a rapid pace, right? One of the ways that this whole platform can grow is just upping the price per purchase dynamic. So I would love, as you're reading those stats, which I think is amazing, I would love everyone, vendors, to start challenging themselves, or brands, to sell higher price point items. Not only luxury products, but just, can you imagine if cars or, I don't know, QVC and HSN sells $1,000 generators, big purchases, household purchases, they start building some momentum on the platform. Where would the dollars go then? So I think it's all about education. We're all learning how this whole social commerce platform works. Everyone's getting involved in it. I love that there's so much growth opportunity, even though the numbers are still mind-boggling and staggering for just a short period of time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt's been a great show again. Thanks for being here. We are here every Friday. Please join us. We are on LinkedIn, live, as well as on Facebook and on eStreamy.com/podcast. We're live there too. If you want to watch if you're watching the replay, feel free to comment. Would love to hear from you. We're also posting on the live VCommerce podcast, so feel free to check out some of the episodes there. Thank you for being here. We are here every Friday, and thank you, Matt, for joining us again.
Wonderful, Nicholas. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Bye.